right, welcome to 3MFAers. Today we're talking about the fantastic movie The Dark Tower. My name's Brandon McPherson. I'm an actor from Toronto, Ontario. I have a master's degree from the Actor Studio Drama School, and I'm here with my friends, Caleb and Josh.
What's up? Joshua Stur here, along with Brandon. I went to the Pace University at the Actor Studio Drama School, and got my master's, and I would use a different adjective to describe The Dark Tower, but we definitely are talking about it today. Caleb.
You know, I want to thank you, Brendan, because I feel like I was getting complicit and I feel like I was losing my edge, but you helped me reawaken my rage.
Look, before we dive deep into it, I'm going to need to give an explanation about why I picked this movie. And that explanation is mostly to piss you off.
All right. Yeah, that scans.
That's a very fair... Yeah.
No, we just did Shawshank. We were talking about doing a Stephen King thing. What was I going to do? Pick another amazing Stephen King movie?
You could have.
That doesn't make any sense. No. No. You gotta go.
There's no rule saying you can't.
We got the top of the Stephen King spectrum. Had to check out the other side of the spectrum, okay?
Listen. You could have even picked, like, the remake of Pet Sematary or something, and it still would have been bad.
It was good. It was a good movie.
Anyway, Caleb, how are you? How is everybody? I want the calm before the storm is what I want.
Well, I'm all storm right now, Josh. That's how I am. Nah, I'm all right. I'm getting ready to leave Georgia. It's getting too hot and too like anti-quarantine-y.
Are you nervous?
I'm ready to go back to a place where people listen to medical professionals. But
well, I tell you, I got back to the city on Monday night.
Oh, you're back in the city, Josh?
I am back in the city.
Oh, shit. Nice.
And I'm in my room trying to do this for the first time. Now stuffy because I had turned off the air conditioner and stuff, so I'm trying to see how this sounds, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I got back in the city, people were out, kids were out, groups thing. People were in like cars of 4 or 5, like with hookah, smoking down the street. Like I live up in Inwood or whatever, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But like people aren't doing the social distance thing as much as you think up here as well.
Well, so, it was just like not
be
that it's an
prepared.
excuse, but it was just like Memorial Day weekend. So
yeah,
I
true.
kind of expect that. It's shitty, and obviously they should be following the guidelines regardless of whether or not it's like a weird holiday. But down here, it's never been like everybody just is like nobody has hand sanitizer, nobody gives a shit. It's fucking crazy.
It's also like it's all very confusing what you're supposed to be doing and not doing.
I don't think
Toronto,
that's true. Stay inside.
No, that's not what I'm saying. For example, like here, like I've been staying inside for 3 months. I haven't seen anybody. I've been doing anything with my family. It's been great. Now I'm like, what am I like? Am I allowed to go on a date? Like, probably not. Like, am I allowed to go hang out with like a friend? Like, what am I allowed to do? That's all.
I don't think it's confusing. I think people are just getting annoyed, and that's fine. Like, that's fair. I'm not saying you're not allowed to feel how you feel, but like the rules haven't changed. Just people's tolerance for them has.
No, but that's the thing. In like Ontario, we're like changing the rules every week. So things are opening and closing and opening and closing. So it is like it's a little more fluid of like what am I allowed to be doing? You know?
Mm-hmm.
For example, like I have a female friend who just went and got tested for corona like yesterday. So now am I allowed to see her? Because she doesn't have
wait
it?
till the test comes back.
No, the test came back. So I'm planning on seeing her tomorrow night. Is that cool? I don't know, but like
you should Google it. Be like, hey, is this fine?
I mean, you should just see what your government has said. I mean, for us, it's, you can go hang out, but just sit 6 feet apart, wear your mask, and like, if you're outside, the risk is relatively low. Yeah. If it's a windy day, it's really low.
Yeah, it's fucking bizarre that people are like, my rights are being impeded. I fucking hate people so much. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's not that. And I don't mean it in that respect. Obviously, like, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. I'm just like, what am I, you know what I mean? Like, if I hang out with one person, is that okay? Like, what, I don't know. So I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Definitely.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
I would say, Brandon, go do it. And if you get coronavirus, then you know now not to do that.
It's a good call.
Well, yeah. I recognize the mistake I made, so it's fine. Who cares if people get sick?
I care. That's why I brought it
Brandon
up.
cares.
That's why I brought it up, because I'm stressed.
I'm low-key nervous to get, like, back. Because, like, when I flew down here, the flights and the airports and everything were restricted enough that the risk was pretty minimal. But now that they've started to, like, slowly open that stuff back up and there's going to be more people on this return flight, I'm, like, kind of nervous about getting sick. So I'm just going to bathe in some Purell.
There you go.
And, like, kind of like a thin coating of it before I get on.
Do you think when you go through a portal that crosses dimensions, a la the Dark Tower, do you think the virus goes with you? Like, do you think Corona can travel? Oh, you do? Okay.
I wish that the coronavirus happened 3 years ago so that this movie would not have been made.
Okay. That's it's really funny, but that's really dark, man.
You know what else is dark? The Tower.
The Tower.
Guys,
that you don't see inside at all, ever.
It's your fault. You don't get to feel bad.
Okay,
it's
so
your fault. You have complete control over this. There's 50 fucking things that have been made from Stephen King books, and you're like, let's pick the worst one, because fuck Caleb.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. Just for the record, I just want our audience to know that is 100% how we ended up here.
Oh, I'm furious.
Well, now that if we're front loaded, if we're all gays ready to go, let's do it. General thoughts, go.
Okay, I'd like to start.
Brandon.
So I went into this movie having read the first 3 books. Okay, so I expected, some semblance of 3 books worth of knowledge.
Wait, have you seen this before?
No, I had not seen it because I'd heard it was so terribly, terribly bad.
Well, just really quickly, Brandon. All right, so you haven't seen this movie before. You're familiar. There's 7 books, yeah?
Yeah.
How long are those? Is each book? Do you think? If you had to,
they're long.
If you had to guess,
they're long. Like they're pretty solid length books, I'd say.
So when you see a movie called The Dark Tower,
yes,
90 minutes long.
90 minutes, yeah.
What's the first thing you think?
I cannot wait to see how we got 7 books in 90 minutes. We're talking almost a book every 10 minutes at that clip. Almost a book every 10 minutes.
Which is like...
Now, the real interesting part is you get about 60 minutes into the movie and realize you're a quarter of the way through the first book?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Then let's destroy the tower.
Yeah.
Which by like the 3rd book of you reading it, you haven't been to, you haven't seen, and you barely know what it is. Like, it's insane. I was blown away. Truly, truly blown away. Like, there are hosts of characters that are just not spoken about or exist. Full books worths of characters. I don't know, man. I'd always heard...
did you like it or did you not like it?
I did not. Okay, I did not like it. But that being said, I wonder how I would have felt had I had no knowledge of the books. Right? If I just went into it as just a cool 90-minute cowboy movie.
Well, that's Josh.
Ooh,
so
me. That's me.
Yeah,
that's me. Never read the books. Never was it the trailer. I even watched the trailer again to see this looks cool, right? I watched it. When I tell you that 15 minutes in, I had so many questions, but I forced myself not to talk to Ryan about it because he knows. But I'm like, I'm going to try and figure it out. Let's see if they do something. And no, I didn't like it. I thought it was a very accurate Rotten Tomatoes score.
What did it get?
16%.
Yeah, that's dead. Okay.
1/6.
Yeah, that's
16%. And it's fucking crazy because you look at the Metacritic, right? And that's all reds and yellows. But there was one critic from Variety who gave it a 70. Which is insane. The guy's it's pretty fun, It's shut the fuck up, asshole.
I told Ryan today, I was like, there are so many cool concepts, but the biggest thing is what Brandon you brought up, and what everybody brings up is how do you put 7 books into 90 minutes? You can't. There's no time to care at all ever.
But do you know how they tried to kind of explain that away? And I might be getting ahead of myself.
because I think you're going to say what I was about to say too.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Caleb.
Technically, this isn't an adaptation of the books. It is a sequel to the book series.
What?
Which is the
What?
most infuriating thing. So, Brandon, you never finished.
No. But can you fill in some gaps for me? Like, what here, like, did all of this shit with, like, the wizard guy, like, with McConaughey,
The wizard guy.
does all this, do you find out any of this in, like, the 5th, 6th, 7th book? And any of this starts, like, does that come around? Is any of this information that's actually from Stephen King?
So this is the issue with trying to... I think this is a masterclass in how not to adapt something.
Hey, silver lining. That's what I like.
Basically, because the only way to even remotely do this justice would be some sort of, like, television series.
Well, and again, originally, when they made this movie, the deal was they were going to make this movie, and then it was going to go to HBO and be a 10-episode miniseries after with Idris Elba.
And then it fucking tanked, and they were like, no thank you, we're gonna just do Game of Thrones.
So that's why, like, that's why I'm asking it, because there is a certain thing at the end when it ends like that with him being, like, with Jake, like, come with me and all that. That could, if you look at it that way, that could be the end of the first book.
So what, so
Oh,
the
so
issue...
like Prince in Purple Rain that was promoting an album. This was promoting a potential TV show.
This is the Stephen
Gotcha.
King version of Purple Rain, yes. What happened? So it's frustrating because Stephen King, not only is the Dark Tower his, like, big Lord of the Rings-esque connected universe, but all of his stories, the majority of his stories, all sort of take place in this shared, like, dream of a floating turtle space universe.
Yeah.
So the Man in Black, Matthew McConaughey, who, like, I know that they didn't have a lot to work with, but everybody was just so bad and boring and bland, and I was really disappointed. I was like, at least Idris and Matthew are going to be fun. But, like, whatever. We can talk about the specifics later. But, so he's technically this kind of character who floats between different universes. Like, I don't know if you guys know The Stand. It's like a post-apocalyptic story by Stephen King. So this character called Randall Flagg, and that's supposed to be the same character. This guy who, like, basically goes around to different worlds and fucks shit up. And that's like a severe oversimplification, but that is basically a SparkNotes version of what he is.
So he's not the devil.
I mean, like, people call him the devil. It's all sort of fucked up. He can be anything. He's evil. He's just evil. He's an evil motherfucker.
He's McConaughey.
He's Matthew McConaughey. So the first and last sentence of the series, and Brandon would know this, and it was in the movie. It says, "The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed."
Yeah.
So that's the first line of the first book, and the last line of the last book.
True.
Because it's, like, the whole thing is basically, it's cyclical. It's supposed to be this never-ending conflict between good and evil that, like, even if we prevail, like, we always have to watch out for darkness, and it's just this never-ending thing that keeps on happening no matter what happens. So the reason that people think this is a sequel, and the creators confirmed it, is there's this item that the gunslinger obtains at the end of the book series called the Horn of some fucking fantasy name. And it's in his bag that you see throughout the movie. So you can, like, pause the movie and be like, that's the horn from the end of the book. Idris Elba has it. So it's supposed to be just this thing of, like, oh, it's just restarting the cycle.
Gotcha.
But the reason that is fucking stupid is because the movie marketing itself as an adaptation of this book. So it doesn't help, like, if you're a new person coming and you don't fucking understand any of this shit because they don't explain any of that. And then if you're a fan of the books, they change so much shit anyway that you can't keep track of it. So it's just a complete abject failure on all metrics.
The stuff with the kids using them to attack the tower, that was in the books? I don't remember that. I don't even remember people with sewing faces in the book. I don't remember nothing. None of it.
Dude, I had so many questions. You have no idea.
Yeah, they changed a lot of shit, and they cherry picked like certain like iconography and.
Yes. Okay. That's my least favorite thing, by the way. If you're going to do an adaptation of a book and you're going to go way sideways with it, don't then do little things that are odes to what would be amazing scenes from the book. Like you get to the village, right? And they're like, show you that flash of the tunnel that goes through the mountain, the subway tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the book, they end up in these tunnels and Jake dies. And like Roland sacrifices Jake. And that's like a major plot point in the book, in the first book. And, like, he has to make a choice.
Wait,
so,
what?
Yeah, in the books, like, they go in one of these giant, like, subway tunnels. They have to get through the mountain, and it's all pitch black, and there's, like, fucking radioactive mutant dudes in it. And then Roland has to make a choice because the Man in Black is, like, there, and he's about to, he throws Jake off some shit, and he's got to either save Jake or go after the Man in Black. And he goes after the Man in Black, and Jake dies. Like,
wow.
3/4 of the way through the first goddamn book. Not the 7th book, the first book. Now,
because I was wondering, like, why is this Jake character so important? Like, I get he's like the purest shine or whatever bullshit, but like, but why him? Like, I didn't care. And then of course his like mom like disintegrates on the ground, and then he's crying and he's having this moment. I'm like, why do I don't care about this?
Yeah, the movie does a really bad job about getting you to invest in its story or characters.
Wait, and the shine shit. Okay, now that you said that it's all one connected universe is way more frustrating. By the way. Do not call it the shine. That's infuriating.
Well, but no, that's what I mean, is that he's supposed to be like Danny from The Shining.
I know.
It's the same.
Does Jake...
Harry also has the shine. You know what I mean?
Does Jake come back in the books? I always assumed he did.
I'm not telling.
Yeah, but I always assumed...
He's going to make you read them all, Brandon.
Yeah, it's a fucking bizarre... You just there's no way, like, Josh, there's no way that we could begin to explain how badly they fuck everything up. But I'm glad that you, as somebody who isn't familiar with any of this shit, was still able to be like, yeah, this makes no fucking sense. It's really rushed. It's poorly explained. It's poorly acted. And, like, I don't know. I understand there's only so much you can do with a bad script. But, like...
But there were 4 writers on it. I saw written by... the entire group from Friends. I don't know what but like it was 4 writers, and I'm thinking like, why do you? They obviously had all these ideas and stuff, and they wanted to try and put it all in there. But it seemed like after a half hour, if I'm not at least on board with anything, and I'm a smart guy, I can try and figure it out. But it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, because some of the shots were cool. A lot of the gunslinger stuff was badass. How he reloads the gun and how cool. Like Idris Elba, fantastic. But I still didn't care. Yeah. I wanted more backstory for him. I wanted more backstory for...
Which, what's fucking insane is that they were reshoots because that was a fucking complaint from the rough cut. So they reshot to put more stuff in for him. So you can imagine how little there was before. Because it's still nowhere near enough.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I got a question for you. I got a big one for you. All right, so there was one line... One line that particularly jumped out at me that I'd never seen in the books before. Now, if this is a thing from the books, I might be happy about it. I don't know, but I'm going to need clarification on this one. There is a point where the Man in Black is explaining our hero Roland, and he goes, his guns were forged from the sword of Excalibur.
No, that's not what he says. He says the sword of whatever the fuck. I believe the humans call it Excalibur.
Oh, he goes, the sword of King Arthur, I believe the humans call it Excalibur.
Or whatever the fuck. Yeah, like his...
So...
Yeah, it was like his ancestor or
something. Don't remember that in the books. Gotta say, anything with King Arthur does get me, so I was a fan of that.
Alright, so it's a 5 out of 5 for Brandon. The connection to the King Arthur lore. But it was just this, I don't know.
I did think that, like, it was cool to see, like, during some of, like, the big gunfights or whatever... It's cool that they're like old school revolvers, you know, and like I just think of like the gunslinger, the way they created him in the movie is like every 7-year-old boy's like dream cowboy, like superhero cowboy. You know, he's like he can do no wrong. He's just like shooting shit, and everybody's getting hit in the head, and he's like boop boop pew 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 pew, you know, and like reloading and just like fucking shooting people. And I'm like, this is exactly what a 7-year-old would do.
I mean,
he would run around and just fucking.
I think there's something to be said for, like, thematically, clearly they're doing something with like the strength of imagination and the purity of a child's imagination. You know, they're literally extracting psychic power from kids' brains and like throwing it at a fucking Tower of Doom to like get it to shatter. So
again, is that a plot point in the books, or did they just make that up for the movie?
I'm not telling.
Bro, I'm not reading 4 more books after that movie. Tell me.
No, dude, that is like the opposite of what I would want. Like, the books are so much more satisfying. Yeah. And I genuinely think that they're better met on their own terms. And I don't want to say anything. I want to encourage people to like read them on their own.
No, like 100%. Like, for example, there's one character that comes in either the second book or end of the first book, but he's, you know, after Jake. Cannot remember. Is it Eddie? Is the guy's name Eddie? Can't remember his name. But yeah, there's a character who pops in a la Jake through one of the doors and just meets Roland, and he's like a full-on heroin addict. And he goes through this whole journey with Roland where, like, he gets to the other world, and he's a heroin addict, and, like, a gangster, and owes money and all this shit, and has to then, like, get over his heroin addiction because he's on a goddamn different planet, so there's no heroines. And, like, all this stuff that makes for, like, a really interesting story, and you learn a lot about Roland and, like, this other guy who's from, like, the 70s New York. There's just so much that they were just like, nah, fuck that. That's too interesting for this movie.
Yeah. So. Yeah. What do we do? I'm going to go down my list of. It's going to be 20 questions for Caleb. And you're just going to give us nice little answers. Now,
really quickly though, before you start that, I did want to go to a point you made because you said that the movie had like 4 writers, and I feel like the way that that can be like kind of like misleading. And the way that writers' credits work is that you'll have the base script will be written by one or maybe a team. And then credited rewrites are done. And then depending on how much work you do, you get your name added to the credits. So it's not that 4 dudes sat around a table being like, what should we do? It just went through so many filters and so many different iterations, and up to 4 different people had their input, that it became this sort of streamlined, jumbled, like tonally inconsistent mess. And that's a huge fucking problem. Sometimes when you get a bunch of writers, it can work. Like, it's not a hard and fast rule that it means it's going to be bad. But more often than not, it's indicative of a lack of central vision. It's indicative of studios kind of getting cold feet. Like, I think one of the worst things to ever happen to studio filmmaking is test screenings and test audiences. Because it's not a good way to gauge if a piece of art is working. You just get like whatever random dumb people in the mall that day and being like, oh, I didn't understand this. And it's like, I guess we have to change our whole fucking plot because some people didn't, you know what I mean? It's
right. Cause ultimately your market is America or like the world audience. Like, you want anybody to go into a movie and get you don't want anybody to be lost, you know, depending on, you know, the level of fandom and things like that, whatever you're writing. But I guess, for like, I would love Joe Schmo in Indiana to like come and watch this movie and like, were you entertained? What was confusing? You know, they'll give you the most frank answers or the most like, but that's unfortunate because I'm sitting here going, I just wish they picked something and went with it. You know, I would have liked it better too. But Ryan was telling that like the books do ramble. And so I think he said one of the things that he said that, might have happened was that they tried cutting out all the extraneous stuff and just did the like, the kind of arc thing, but then it still doesn't. I mean, for me, it doesn't work because it goes way too fast. Like you said, it was like 7 books, 12 minutes a piece.
It's really breakneck. It really just it is like nauseating how fast things move. Like, and still simultaneously nothing is being said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the frustrating part. It's like, it's so infuriating.
Absolutely. A lot of wasted
So I think what we can do is try and clarify some things for our listeners. No, I don't know. I tried to be a little productive.
I definitely have some things I want to talk about. For one, okay, if you're going to make this movie, right, and you're going to make a gunslinger movie, and then you're going to have a sweet final battle, one-on-one with the Man in Black, and we're going to be shooting stuff at him, and then he's going to be throwing glass at Roland, cool, that makes a lot of sense. Let's at least make it look cool, guys. Jesus Christ. Like, everything up until their final little battle, I was like, all right, that looks cool. At least I'm really like enjoying things looking cool. And then this final battle happened, and I was like, guys, did we do this in 3 hours?
It's a
what happened?
It speaks to, I think, a lack of understanding of the source material from the filmmakers.
Yeah, maybe
the visual aesthetics that they went with for the film reads to me like they wanted it to be this fucking epic fantasy. Like, they borrowed a lot of, like, and there were some shots that, like, looked straight out of the Transformers movies. Like, it seemed like they wanted to do this fucking, like, amazing, epic blockbuster, but it's a Western story. And if you ever watch a Western movie, the final battles or the shootouts or whatever, they're framed very specifically. It's very aesthetically unique and different and a lot slower and quieter. And they try to make these quiet, smaller actions seem fucking big and epic. And it comes off
that's
really
exactly
dissonant.
what it is. As opposed to him like shooting 60 bullets at him in 12 seconds and him, throwing 38 things. It should have just been them standing there in a standoff. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, yes, that one kind of moment of tension release as opposed to that little, let's throw some cool CGI in here and have him wizard some shit around, and it just
well, I think you could even
Marvel
like pair
movie,
it with,
you know what I mean? But they tried to be, and it's what fucked it up.
Like, even if they like, I don't mind the glass thing. Like, yeah, rip off Voldemort. I don't care, but it's, even if he was throwing one shard of glass and Idris Elba like shot it out of the air, and they were like doing like a bullet to bullet kind of thing head on, would have been cooler. Now, don't get me wrong, his last little like mantra of the I don't aim with my eyes, I aim with my hand, whatever, that thing. Like, it would be cool to tattoo that on like your back if you were a diehard fan. But
okay, Josh.
Or like you're in the military. But he said like when he shot it and then he bounced off the other one to shoot the other thing and bounce into his heart. Like, that was a cool moment, right? But it's for me, I look at a lot of detail stuff, but it was really funny to see him getting through the bar section with all the bad guys and finally down to the man in black. And like, I could tell, I looked at his belt and he was definitely missing 4 out of his 6 holsters. And then all of a sudden when the battle started, he had full 6. And I was like, where did those bullets come from?
Also annoying because in the book, that's like a very active count going on at all times is how many bullets he has. Because until he gets to Earth, there's only like a very limited amount supply. Then he gets to Earth and starts
Dude, the way he shoots, he just feels like he just doesn't give a shit about quantity or anything. He's just like,
see, in the books, very different.
Shooting people up.
Very aware of every bullet and like very careful about it. Which is again another frustrating thing. And along those same lines, in the end of the first book or the beginning of the second book, he literally loses all the fingers on one hand. So he can't shoot with his right hand or whatever it is. Which is a super goddamn important plot point because that makes him have to give his gun to his partners. Mm-hmm. In this movie, he gets a piece of knife jammed in his hand in the last 30 seconds. And I was like, don't do things like that. Either just leave it alone or do it properly. Don't do little odes to things. It frustrates me. Just do it or don't do it. You know?
It's they couldn't pick a lane because they're trying to, pay homage, but they're trying to make it easily accessible to mainstream whoever the fuck. Yeah, it just totally was a ill-conceived attempt from the beginning.
Mainstream here was not accessible.
Yeah,
I said they tried. I didn't say they succeeded.
I will say, I thought the kid did a good job. Look,
he was okay. He's a kid actor.
Yeah, I know, and I thought he did a good job as a kid.
Who fucking sucked? His friend.
I liked his friend. I thought
stop
his friend. Dude, his friend. I loved his friend. I thought his friend was the best. He was super chill. He was super New York. I thought he was great.
I hated him.
I thought he was great, man.
You could tell that he was doing the accent, but he was too young to understand what he was. You know what I mean? Like, he was such an annoying little fuck. And I know he's 12.
I liked him.
You know what I mean? But fuck him. Fuck that kid.
So okay, Caleb, can you explain to me or Brandon too? So the Man in Black, he has magic. He can catch bullets from the gunslinger, and he can also command people to die or do whatever he wants. Yes,
he's an evil influence on the world. Like, he acts as a negative influence. Like
I don't
they
know why
explain
I
it
got
really
devil.
well
I literally just
in his Randall Flagg persona from The Stand. Like he is here to like cause chaos, basically.
gotcha. And so, but the only person who's resisted his like command to like stop breathing is the gunslinger, or the main gunslinger, because his dad's a gunslinger. Was
questions
a
about
Oh yeah, the
That's
gunslinger,
true.
Allstate guy.
but then his dad died. Oh, that's where he's from.
It's
Yes.
Dennis Haysbert.
I have questions about that too.
Are you in good hands?
I don't remember Roland being immune to his magic. Was that always a thing?
I think that was for the movie because I
Okay.
don't think it's ever
Good.
expressly. I mean,
No,
they're
right?
they are like nemesis.
Yes. And like he's known him since he was a kid. I remember him like showing up in his town and all of that. Blah blah blah.
They changed so much for the movie. Like it really is insane.
Dude, doesn't he like come in and like? I could be totally off on this. Doesn't he like come in and like bang Roland's mom or something? In the, like,
I don't
or-
remember that.
Wait,
It's been a
whoa,
while since I
whoa,
read the
whoa.
books, but I don't
no,
remember
I could
that.
be totally off, but I know there's like it's been a while, but there's points in the book where it jumps to like Roland's past. You know, when he's like a kid growing up and stuff. Doesn't the Man in Black like interject himself into his life at that point?
If the movie had a scene of Matthew McConaughey fucking Idris Elba's mom, it would have been a 5-star movie. That would have been amazing.
Just upped it a whole bunch.
What about how convenient that like drawing of the house, the drawing of the house? Oh, it has a U.S. mailbox. I think it's in New York. Oh, it's in Brooklyn.
You know what,
How
Josh?
convenient is that?
They
You know
couldn't
what?
afford Google, right? Like they couldn't afford the rights to use Google. Did you see the name of the website that he was using?
No.
No.
Helpmefindit.com.
Yes. Nice.
It's so
Yeah.
fucking stupid.
You know what though? I like that he just threw it up on Reddit and was like, "Hey, who knows this house?" Because that is like that would work. People do that. That's the thing.
And then like people were like, "You're fucking gay" or whatever. And then
yeah.
the one guy was like, "I think it's this exact neighborhood in Brooklyn." Like I don't know.
Oh, and
Fucking so
and then he's
dumb.
walking down Brooklyn Heights, and of course we've all hung out with Brandon, so we know what that looks like.
Yeah, that made me smile.
I know we're supposed to hate the stepdad because he's like a stepdad, you know what I mean? And he's like a dick. But if my fucking stepkid was like had those drawings all over his fucking room, I'd be like, okay, you're a little fucking freak. Like you're a psychopath. That was some scary ass shit. And then his mom's like, leave him alone. It's
Yeah.
like, no, your kid is fucking possessed. We gotta
You know
get
what
him
movie
outta
did
here.
that better?
What?
Do you know what movie that did that better?
Which?
Burn Bright. Is it Burn Bright?
It's Brightburn,
Brightburn.
you illiterate fuck.
Hey.
Well, but the tone
Brightburn.
of that was different though. With Brightburn, which is a movie that Josh and I saw together in theaters, it's like a fucked
And we
up
loved.
Superman story. It's
Yeah,
like what
yeah,
if when
I know.
Superman came down
Yeah.
and was a dick. It's very clearly like the point is that it's obvious that he's fucking evil,
Yeah, it's-
and Elizabeth Banks is like, no, he's our little boy, and the guy is like, no, but like. He's clearly a fucking psychopath. It was trying to be like, you know, they're like, no, he's like a misunderstood kid who's like got psychic powers, but
Yeah,
his drawings
no.
were fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
And then what about the face stealers? Sorry, Brandon.
no,
Did you?
no, Josh. That's a great question. I don't know because in 3 books, not mentioned one time. So, Caleb.
There is like all of his like helpers and shit. They do appear in the books, and I'm trying. It's literally I read this shit when I was in middle school. You know what I mean? And I'm trying
Yeah.
to remember if there is such a thing as them stealing faces. And if
It's just
there
like-
is, I feel like it wasn't like. Here's the really obvious line where I fucking stitched this
Yeah.
person's
Yeah.
face onto my thing. You know, I wish that there was a world where I could have like reread the books in a week, but
Same. That's what I was thinking as I was watching the movie. I was like, fuck, like, I wish I'd read them all so I knew exactly what was moved and taken and pulled from. And
yeah, but there was no way that I was. gonna do that.
I just like it was funny when Matthew McConaughey comes home to his house and he's like, "Put on a face. You're in my house." And he's like, "Oh, okay. I'll go and put my face on."
Okay,
You know?
all right. I guess I will.
They're like rat people that have like no mouths or
It's
something
so
weird. You know?
Yeah.
And like
That's weird.
there's also the moment too that I was like, what the fuck was the house demon, like the tornado of splinters, and all I could think is, wow, I would get so many splinters and that would fucking suck.
so that
You know?
one actually was right from the book. That's
Cool,
like,
but what was it? Is it like it's a guardian, right? Or like
Yeah.
it's guards the portal, I guess.
house demon dude. And then, but the only thing was like, again, I and this is a choice, obviously, but like I did not read it that way that the portals were super electronic and had keypads and all that. Like it seemed very more
organic.
Yeah, that's because
like,
it's like not. It's fucking stupid that they did that.
Like, you know, it felt like Narnia portals as opposed to this.
As
before.
opposed
like,
to Stargate.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what me and my brother said last time we were watching it.
Oh, you dragged your fucking brother into this too?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's okay. Jesse had already seen it. He knew what he was getting into.
Okay. I would love it if that was Jesse's, like, impetus to becoming a screenwriter. He's like, I'm going to make sure that I never make a movie as bad as this.
Oh. No, we've been watching Attack on Titans again.
So good.
So
I would love it if we just talked about Attack on Titan for the rest of the podcast. Because it's so
Wait,
much better.
Can we also say that I started The Legend of Korra?
Oh,
so
nice.
that's fun.
Very cool.
dope.
New news.
Korra's awesome.
Now that we're interjecting
People,
like things that are more interesting.
People shit on Korra, but I really like it. I think it's a great show and a really interesting thematic continuation.
Yeah.
How far are you, Josh?
Oh, just 5 or 6 episodes in the first season.
The first book.
So I came back and segue because The Dark Tower is the last Airbender of Stephen King movies. In terms of movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I just started watching because I was like, fuck it, I want to binge watch another thing, and I liked The Last Airbender, but it's like cool for me how, because we never got Aang learning airbending because he was already a master when he came, like we're getting her learning airbending, which I think is really cool because it is very defensive and fluid and she has to kind of learn, and the fact that she was a kid and she had 3 elements already was pretty cool, and the tie-in to the older characters is cool, and like metal bending's a thing, and it's like it's really cool, and they also like the mix of computer animation and hand drawn is really cool, and I'm liking it. I also enjoy just that it's like the 1920s, like it's developed since Aang, into like technology and things like that. It's like a really cool, more adult.
That was
kind of a
really good idea
thing,
to like somewhat modernize it. Make it a little steampunky was a really smart move.
Yeah, they did a really great job, and there's so many cool characters, both like new characters and characters that come back from the show. As you go on, they'll bring in more people.
That's awesome.
What got me was like, and I don't know if you're there yet, but like the sports aspect of it, I was like,
pro bending.
Yeah, pro bending. I was like, this is the best.
Pro bending, yeah.
I'm playing Bolin in a movie, so it's fine.
Dope.
That's funny. That'd be great.
It's like totally. It's my personality.
We went through this one time where they casted all white people for this movie. It didn't go great.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Crap. Okay.
I wonder. I don't have any desire to rewatch the Shyamalan movie, but I do wonder if that's probably worse than The Dark Tower.
Definitely, 100%, 100%, 100%. It's almost unwatchable.
Definitely.
No, I would say no, only because at least The Last Airbender stuck to one season. And like they did the broad, vague strokes of like the like I said, huge plot points, like the sun of
but it's such a
solar system plot points.
Misinterpretation of the source material, and its intent is so like blatantly off and bad, and I don't know. I think it's worse. Caleb, I think Shyamalan's
it's worse. Funny because I argue because I didn't watch The Last Airbender cartoon until after I watched the movie, let's say. And so even after even watching the cartoon, the first season, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see where they kind of went. That's different from Dark Tower, where it's just so like you can't follow it. The Last Airbender movie, although terrible and really kind of off the mark, you could still go back to the cartoon and be like, okay, that's where that moment is. Oh, that's where that moment is. Didn't execute it well, but at least I can see kind of where it is. Does that make sense?
Yes, but at least the Dark Tower got their main character's name right.
Oh, well. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that, because I hear what you're saying, but like it's not enough for me to be able to be like, oh, I see all the beats they were trying to do, because they still fucked up those beats. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
And also, just it's just garbage. It's garbage in that movie.
What I am interested about Korra is that in the Last Airbender 4 seasons, he had a clear like antagonist enemy that he was like building towards to fight, and I guess she has one too with the guy who is in charge of the Ami? No,
Amon.
Amo.
Who's voiced
Amon?
by Stephen Bloom, and he's fucking incredible. He's such a good actor.
Like,
So that is
like
something
she's
that
like
people
kind of.
complain
I'm
about.
kind of interesting, like the arc, right? So like, I'm trying to think how are these 4 seasons going to go, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to make this about the Legend of Korra real quick, but I'm interested to see. So she's kind of a master of 3 elements. She has one more to master. So, but then she doesn't really get and this is like in the first few episodes. Anybody listening, like you can, if you haven't seen it, it's explained really quickly. And I'm curious as to, because she isn't very spiritual, right? She has to actually learn this because she doesn't do the Avatar state, right? She hasn't yet in the 5 episodes. And usually that's what was interesting too, because when she was spoiler, like being threatened by the guy who could have easily just beat her right there, and she didn't go into her Avatar state, which I thought that was like a life-threatening defense mechanism for the Avatar. But we'll see. I have questions,
all things will be answered and explored as you go along. That is a major criticism. Is like, yeah, the original Avatar had such a crystal clear through line. Like, this is where we're going. Like, Fire King Ozai, we got to kick his ass before the comet shows up. Like, that is the goal and the point. And Korra, I think, is a little more, her character growth and her arc remains pretty consistent, but the goalposts that we hit along the way are a little looser and go more season by season. And I think it's different. I don't think one's better than the other necessarily. I just think it's a different storytelling style.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to dive in. So that's it. No, that's not it. We can talk about whatever we want. I just know that it's funny how, I think Caleb was so hell-bent on like shitting on this movie that he ran out of Peter after a half hour.
Oh, I can still go.
Out of energy.
Let's not get that twisted. I'm really still frothing at the mouth.
Real quick though, before we get back to the Dark Tower, because I'm sure we'll rant some more. Just in some news in the world, HBO Max launched today.
Yes.
Which is going to be very interesting. So that's apparently has everything. It's Warner Brothers, so it's Viacom or whoever the hell owns whoever, and they have everything seemingly that Disney doesn't own. So it's going to be a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I have to figure out if the TV subscription I have, the AT&T TV, actually has. I think I got an email once saying that it's included in my my package that I'm paying for already. So that's kind of cool. But we'll see. It could be kind of like Apple. Like when I bought my iPhone 11, I got a free year of Apple TV Plus.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
So we've been watching some shows on that, or trying to get into, because it's after you get so many streaming services, it's hard to you have to really kind of spend a day or a week going through one streaming service and then go to someplace else. You can't just keep jumping around, because we're about 5 episodes into the morning show, which I'm enjoying anyway. But we're enjoying, but it's like we haven't gone back, right? So because we've just been distracted to do other things.
Can you do me a favor, Josh?
Yeah.
You have Apple TV. Can you please watch Mythic Quest? I'm desperate to talk about it. It's I'm being very genuine.
Oh sure,
I'm being genuine. I loved it, and from growth for watching Rob McElhenney go from It's Always Sunny and running that show to this show, and you can just the difference in the show tonally, it's just everything. I loved it. I really loved it.
Do I have to watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia before, or no?
No, they have nothing to do with each other. It's just
you should be watching that anyway.
You should be watching It's Always Sunny because it's the best.
It's probably
great. I'll just add it to the list.
The best sitcom. It's probably my favorite sitcom of all time.
Me too. It's also now officially the longest running sitcom of all time. It just got renewed for season 15.
Live action sitcom, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because obviously,
they usually stop at 10.
On way longer.
Josh, in a serious way, if you haven't watched through It's Always Sunny, it's very worth watching. Just in that, it was started. I mean, it was 3 guys that threw up a camera. Rob McElhenney wrote a script, and they turned that into a pilot, took it to their managers, and that was that. And 15 seasons later, they're still making
Sorrell. Yeah, Sorrell's told me the story. It's all good.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that connection.
Robert was like, you can see the pain behind his eyes every time he tells that story. You know, he's like, I
Get
want
my
to be an
roommate.
artist, and now they're all rich, and I'm teaching school for fucking people who aren't paying attention.
I paid attention. Well, I mean, I wasn't in that class, but I paid attention sometimes. Anyways,
All right.
not the point. Not the point. Yeah. I have no idea. What was I just saying? What were we talking about? Well, what are we doing?
We were just talking about TV subscriptions and and streaming and
Right.
getting back into the Dark Tower at some point. If we don't, I'm totally fine with that.
I wasn't surprised because I knew going into it what we were getting ourselves into. Was I disappointed? A little bit. Was I upset with myself at points in this 90-minute journey? Of course I was. But I think it was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like... Sorry. I feel there's a difference. I'm glad we did it because it definitely shows the range of movies I guess we'll cover since this will be the bottom. And we can only go up from here. So I'm glad the Danish Girl looked better for the Dark Tower. And but it's funny because like there is a difference between picking, like we don't have to do all like major motion picture winning like classics, right? We don't have like, I love doing the fun random movies, but I think there has to be some sort of like level of like even House had its merits, right?
Fuck you, House is amazing. This
No,
is not
also-
the same thing at all.
Also, I think we've done a good job here of being constructive. We want to be constructive and positive and be looking at things from
That's
Well, then
true.
don't pick
artistic
movies
lenses.
like this.
That's what I'm saying. I made a mistake. Okay, that is the point that I'm making. We've done very well. I thought it was going to be funny. Okay, I made a mistake.
I'm glad you admit
Hey,
it.
but Caleb mentioned the silver lining is that now we know how not to adapt source material in like books and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't. It's funny, but it doesn't help us be constructive. So that's
Right.
my bad, and now I've learned that.
Well, that's good.
Speaking of the 90 minutes thing, I think it is important. This is something I wanted to touch on. Because I sometimes when I've been like talking about these movies that are long, like over 2 hours long, and I'll be like, it feels really long, it's paced pretty poorly. I think the opposite is also true. Like, this movie's also paced incredibly poorly, just in a different way, where it's like too short and nothing is fleshed out enough, and the action just comes at you like a fucking Gatling gun, and it's like, here's everything you need to know. I think that's also, like, it's a balance. It's not just some things can be too long. Things can also be way too short. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it actually matters what the minute time is. It's how you feel that. Like,
Exactly.
I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a few weeks ago for the first time. That was the shortest 2.5 hour movie I've ever watched because I didn't even realize the time was passing. It felt so tight. I was invested. You know, I really enjoyed the movie. Whatever people's opinions are on it, but it just for me, it was the shortest 2.5 hour movie I've ever sat through.
For me, that's like The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
you know?
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that. I mean, that's true because like, and then I don't know the history of editing The Dark Tower, but did they obviously cut out a bunch or they added things? So was it shorter before? Was it longer? It's like who in the
I can guarantee you that there was a cut that was probably at least around 2 hours at some point. They definitely cut things, and then they probably had to reshuffle a bunch of things because like they did reshoots to like apparently to beef up Idris Elba's character, even though he was still really poorly defined. And I don't know. I think that the cut we got is definitely probably not the original intention for sure.
Ooh, yo, should we start a campaign for the original cut?
No, we should not do that.
Snyder cut.
I'm still really mystified at people's insistence that the Snyder cut is something that is going to be good. Like, I don't understand.
I'm excited for it, man. Whether it turns out good or not, I'm excited to see it.
I think objectively it'd be interesting to see what it could have been if he stayed on the whole time, or even if he got whatever the drama is or whatever. But
all of the shit that people liked about the movie is Joss Whedon's reshoots. So you just extrapolate the other shit that nobody liked.
That's funny because I didn't like Joss Whedon's
but also,
reshoots.
People are acting
I didn't like
it was
Superman's
this
camera.
This thing that exists, this final masterpiece that we never got to see. When in reality, if you read the fucking news reports, Snyder's getting like $30 million to like finish it. So it's not like it's not like it was even done. He still has to like do all the special effects, and he still has to probably reshoot a bunch of shit. Like he has to restructure it. He's like, we don't know if it's going to be.
There's no reshooting. It's finishing off CGI that they didn't finish off. So apparently they had done like none of the CGI for any of the Darkseid scenes they had shot. Like they shot a bunch with the actor. They have to CGI all of that. So that's what's happening.
If there are no reshoots, then there's no way that it's going to work. Because
I'm almost 1,000% sure that there's no reshoots.
I thought there was going to be a few.
You're wrong.
I don't think there's going to be.
If they don't do any reshoots, it's going to fail. Because what you're telling me is that if you read all of the things, none of them know if it's going to be a movie. They're like, we might do a miniseries. We don't know what form it's going to take. That's fucking insane. Because if you want to if you don't know, if you want to do a TV show or a miniseries, that means that every episode has to have its own arc, and there are beats that you have to hit in between those things. It's going to be an editing fucking nightmare.
Yeah, you can't just to be continued.
Also, for the record, I just looked it up. There's no reshoots.
Then it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to fail, in my opinion.
Well, I think it would behoove us to just keep it, like, just kind of see whatever, see what it'll be, whether it's a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes or if it surprises people. I don't know.
I think it's going to be dope. I want to see Superman fight Darkseid. I've always wanted to see that on screen. That's going to be awesome. It's also, though,
I think
what I'm more excited for, and apparently they're fighting for now, is to get the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, which isn't apparently a finished cut.
Yeah, but like that, it's the same thing. Like it's the same thing. It's gonna be just more.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with that. It's like Blade Runner. Like director's cuts happen. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. I just want to see it.
That's it. I would. I take extreme umbrage comparing Blade Runner to Suicide Squad. Those are two very different fucking wheelhouses.
Just to be clear, I know you do, and that's why I said it.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
But without poking the Caleb bear, but I don't understand. Like, yes, it's kind of annoying that. So, what's this day and age going to be like? We're just going to redo shitty movies and then claim it to be a director's cut and like hope that it's better. But at the same time, for me, I don't understand like the immediate venom towards like getting like a different version, like whatever it's going to be different because it's going to be longer, it's going to have different footage in it, like it's going to feel differently than what we saw in the movie theater. And so that fact, I'm interested to see, okay, what is this, I'm not sitting here going, I'm not going to watch it. Why wouldn't we watch it?
Because I think
why wouldn't we then compare the two and see what the difference
are bad. It's not like with Blade Runner, the whole mystique behind it was like there was like heavy studio interference and there was lots of shit. Like that's a good movie. There were different versions of how like the studio and the director like reinterpreted that text that makes it muddy. And it's like a very important like science fiction landmark. These fucking Warner Brother DC superhero shit, they're just chasing trends. And there's nothing artistic about them. They're totally like a complete like oppressive like grimdark nightmare of cinema that prey on these fucking people. Oh god fucking damn it. Shitty. Did you hang up on me mid-rant?
No.
No, you lost connection.
I didn't lose connection. It's not my fault. I just got so angry. My phone was like, you need to calm down, buddy. I don't remember where I was.
Let's you were talking about like the mystique or something.
Whatever. You people don't care.
Because they're bad movies. I don't know.
Nobody cares about what I have to say. I think people are just easy to fucking please. Like, I like, why are we spending so much time concerned about fucking Zack Snyder's like vision? His vision was shitty.
Well, here's why. Here's why. They're about to launch a new subscription service and they needed a hook to be in the news. People have been talking about the Snyder Cut for years because some people really, really want to see it. They saw that opportunity, were like, I wonder if we say, you can do this, if this will be all over the news. And then HBO Max will be all over the news. Of
course I fucking understand the business aspect of it, like the business move. It's a brilliant business decision. I'm asking why you two care so much about this shit that you know, deep that you have to know it's going to be bad.
Oh, I got this.
I refuse to believe that two people that have master's degrees are so easily impressed that this is all they care about.
You ready? I like superheroes. And I like when they do superhero movies where you get to see lots of different superhero characters that we haven't seen before playing together and fighting together.
It's just insane. It's insane to me that that's how you feel.
Look, here's the reality.
Can you not let us DC fans just have like some sort of resemblance of...
You're getting played, dude. They want your fucking money. That's the only reason they're doing this. Like, we need people to sign up.
I'm not paying for it. It's on HBO Max.
They're getting my money anyway because I'm going to watch like all the other crap on HBO Max, first of all. Second of all, what I really want to see, and the real reason why I'm happy they're making this movie, is because we're talking about a movie, as you said before, like The Dark Tower, or anything else that's been a big studio production. You had a guy who wanted to do something. Zack Snyder had a vision that he wanted to do. It was very clear, and you can see that even in what we got. A bunch of shit happened. And this is not normal circumstances, right? Like, a bunch of stuff happened during that production. He had to leave and hand over the reins to Joss Whedon. It wasn't a normal situation. And then the studio took over, and they mangled the thing. Totally fair. The movie we got was the movie we got. You guys know my thoughts on it. Now, because of HBO Max, because they have the opportunity to throw some money at him, I want to see him get the opportunity to finish that vision. I want to see what he was trying to do. And also, because it was such a unique circumstances of why he had to leave in the first place, I want to see how it turns out.
Well, I would say two things to that, which is, I think there's a really, like, the misconception, like, obviously the personal tragedy that happened in his life is, like, I don't wish that upon anyone, and that is terrible. But the stuff about him, like, leaving the production was going on before that happened. Like, if he would have been fired had that not happened and he elected to leave. You know, he was having fights with the studio. Those are documented. You can Google it. So it's not like that. I feel like that's a kind of a misrepresentation of what happened. And also, we know what the movie would have been like. It would have been more of the shitty, oppressive, grimdark, edgy shit. Like, everything that's not the Joss Whedon reshoots in that movie, it's still there. We still see the pieces. It's not going to be this lost masterpiece. Like, it's not. I
don't think we're saying it's going to be a masterpiece, Caleb. That's the thing. Is like, you're thinking that we're like idolizing it. We're just curious on what it would have been when you don't have Warner Brothers down your neck. And like, yeah, they probably had creative differences and they weren't working out. They were going to fire him because they had an idea for the Justice League movie. He had a contrasting one or whatever. And so they got rid of him. So like, even if that was the story, I still would be interested in seeing what Zack Snyder does with
that like interest to you is worth a studio spending $30 million on something that you know is probably going to be bad with everything that's going on right now. You don't think that $30 million could be allocated any different way?
They have the money. It's whatever.
HBO, it like legally can't be. No, that's like it's a company. It's not like you can just, here's $30 million that's within the company. Just do this with it. That's not how it works. You know that.
You wouldn't rather see that $30 million go to some like independent, or not independent, but just some other filmmaker who like hasn't gotten the chance to break out yet.
For sure. 100%. And in a perfect world, absolutely. The reality is though, the minute they said that they were doing this movie, and I'm sure that stocks moved and things happened and they made their money back immediately, probably within a minute. You know what I mean? Like,
but the only reason this happened is because angry fucking nerds streamed on the internet for 6 years.
Well, that's the more interesting thing, right? Is what is this going to affect in the future? You know, we've seen more and more shows coming back from the dead, getting picked up by, you know, Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or whatever. I wonder when we're going to see the first movie that gets redone. Comes out, is total dog shit, and then somebody's like, you know what? I'm going to rehire this cast, and we're remaking this movie not terrible. That's what I want to see.
I think that's
Just
such
The Dark Tower.
that's such a weird. If that's the place that like art is, and that's like where we're going, then I don't want to be a part of that.
No. It wouldn't be good. I'm just saying, couldn't you see that happening? Somebody just being like, I didn't like it. I'm doing it my way.
What I think my point is that I think that it's insane that we're at a place where like if enough people get angry online, they can influence these like major corporations to just do whatever to like kowtow to them. That's not how it should work.
No, and 100%, and it's not even just the film industry. Just I'm glad that you left it just at that because it's across the board. Like this is such a big problem across the board. Cancel culture, people getting fucked. It's terrible. I mean, it's also like there's a lot of good that's come out of it, obviously, but the 5 people on Twitter yelling at a corporation to cancel somebody is definitely a problem. And making enough noise that it feels like a million people.
And I want everybody to know that like it's not just because we're getting the Snyder Cut or whatever, but of course I would love for the same kind of passion for DC fans to want to see Zack Snyder see this movie all the way through, in whatever capacity. They should be using that passion for, let's say, Amazon workers, or like union rights and like people in the workplace who aren't getting the benefits. Like, of course, like you ask about Warner Brothers spending $30 million on Zack Snyder, to release this because people on the internet got mad. I also would love, Jeff Bezos to spend even just $1 billion to help out his employees. You know what I mean? Like there's things but he has his own money. They do what they want. We can't really, unfortunately, change that, the 3 of us, but, I can't.
Maybe if we get angry on the internet.
Maybe.
My point with saying that, obviously, there's like bigger issues in the world than fucking DC mismanaging their money, in my opinion. But what my point was that like these movies, none of these movies have been good. None of these movies have been good.
But it doesn't matter.
And like,
it doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
I can explain why. I can defend my position, and I mean this genuinely. It doesn't matter because of what you're doing because of what you're doing it on. So you have kids who have grown up reading every issue of every comic and every possibility of everything that can happen to this character. You've read it. You've seen it. Like for me, it was, Batman, Superman. I've seen most of it, all of it. You know what I mean? On the Marvel side, same thing with Cap and Spider-Man and Iron Man and all that. So watching the Avengers movies, great, awesome, nothing super surprising. Then you get to Endgame and he picks up Mjolnir, or however you say it properly, and everybody loses their minds because it's something you never expected to see on screen. Right? It's the same thing. People just want to see Superman fight Darkseid just like they saw him do when they were kids in the Justice League. That's what it is. It's just wanting to see that live action for the first time. It's not whether it's good or bad. It's just wanting to see it up there. And the best way I can explain it is when I watched the first season of Titans, which, has lots of mixed reviews on the show, I'm a fan. But when I watched the first season, there was this moment when you had 2 Robins on screen. And they're, talking and fighting and stuff. And for me, it was coming right out of the comics. It jumped right off the page. And I'd never seen that before. And that was something so unique and cool to see that it drew me in. So I think that's what it's about for a lot of people. I don't think it's about whether it's a good movie. I don't think whether it's about editing, production. It's just you want to see certain things that you've grown up with that you've never seen before.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Justice League is, you can't have Justice League without Darkseid. And the fact that they never got a chance to do it, I'm interested to see what that is. And but Caleb, we could
incredibly
the weekend.
But
if
that's your opinion, then that's fine.
What do you mean? I don't. There's so much other art and things that we're going to be talking about this next year that when this episode actually comes, where we watch the Justice League, Zack Snyder cut or whatever, that we can sit there and we can be like, okay, cool. What do we think? Yeah, you know what? Still wasn't my thing. That's okay. Like, we can have that opinion. I can be a DC comic book fan and have want the movies to be good and still be a master's degree holder in the arts and theater and stuff like that. I don't think they're exclusive from each other. Like, oh, I have a master's, I'm above this. I can't. That's not a thing.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's kind of what you said though, Caleb. You're like, I can't believe my friends who have master's degrees think this is going to be a good movie. And it's like, can't we just geek out and just want to see Superman in a black suit?
I'm obviously leaning into a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually think less of anybody who likes this shit. I'm just saying, if the argument is I don't care if it's good or bad, I just want to see it, I'm like, well, that seems a little silly.
No, I would like to see the best version of it ever, but I'd rather see it than not see it at all.
Yeah, I would like them to do all the independent movies and not do a Justice League until they're ready to do it, and like succumb to the Marvel machine.
So then what you do is you vote with your wallet and not see it.
But it's already going to be on there. I'm not paying anything extra to see this movie next spring.
Yeah.
So it's not, unless no. You know what? I just won't buy the popcorn that I'm going to eat while I watch it. That's
right,
what I'll
Josh.
do. That's what I'll do.
That's all you have to do. Just not buy the extra big popcorn.
Did you guys see the new trailer for Tenet?
Yeah, it looks dope.
No.
And then also because it's the first time like people have seen Pattinson doing anything since he took on Batman, and he's in the trailer. He's kind of a cool cat in it. People are very stoked now. There's been a lot of good reports about people losing their mind over him and Batman and all that. So
yeah, I'm interested. I hope that it's at least a movie worth Christopher Nolan's like grain of salt, because I've liked a lot of his movies and his concepts. I just hope it's not supposed to be like the movie that he just makes because people are going to be pent up in the house and just want to go to a movie, right? So that's the only thing available the first time movie theaters open back up. But at the same time, I don't know what it's going to be like in the fall. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if movie theaters are going to be open, to what capacity.
Yeah.
But,
definitely looks good, though. Looks very good.
Anything else that you can think of?
What else?
On anything?
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm watching Sons of Anarchy right now, and it's fantastic. Is Charlie Hunnam the best? He might be the best. He's killing it. I'm also really, really impressed with Ron Perlman, man. He's awesome.
I have never seen it, and I'm sorry to say that because I had a roommate who watched the entire series in the last season when it was on TV live, and he said it was great, and he stands by it. I think Marlon watches The Mayans, which is a spin-off, I think.
Marlon should be on The Mayans. Like, legit.
True.
That's racist, Brandon.
No, it's not. He would be awesome in it. He would be great.
No, that's racist.
Where do they shoot? Did they shoot that in LA?
I would assume most
I don't
things
know.
are shot in LA. Some studio a lot somewhere to double as the. Wait, where does it take place? In Texas?
No, I think it takes place in California. I think they're in Oakland or just outside Oakland in California.
Oh, they're in like Northern California. I think
California,
that is right. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's shot on some fucking studio backlot.
Why wouldn't it be?
Probably.
Right? Like, it would make their lives way easier.
No, Sons of Anarchy is one of those shows that like I never got into, but when it was on, people were talking about it. But then I feel like as soon as it ended, people forgot about it really quickly.
Dude, there's the craziest was I'm watching it. There's this kid in the first season who's playing like a kind of like a pledge or whatever, and he's in the second season as well. I don't know how deep he goes into it, and he was on everything when we were growing up. Like he'd pop on Smallville as like a bad guy, or he'd be in the, you know what I mean. And then I'm looking this kid up because I haven't seen him in a bunch of years in anything. And it's like this whole crazy story of him like murdering somebody and like committing suicide in real life and shit. And it's like insane. And it was
shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
And you're like, whoa, that's what happened? Like, fuck. So, I don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's like when you read about like what happened to the little Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, well now especially. Didn't he have like he ended up in jail or something, didn't he? Or
Yeah, well he got like teased and bullied to the point that he had like a nervous breakdown as like a young person and developed like he became or whatever the verbiage you want to use is, but he was later diagnosed with schizophrenia and he like there was like a police chase.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, he got his like life ruined because angry nerds yelled online,
Yeah.
That just goes back to that what we were talking about. That's crazy.
So
Everything full
it's
circle.
absolutely nuts, man. Apparently, but speaking of little Anakin, apparently, what's his name? Oh my God, who's other Anakin?
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen apparently is signed on to play Anakin again, or play Darth, I guess now, in the Obi-Wan show for Disney Plus. It's going to be the two of them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to like all the other kind of the Marvel TV shows and stuff. Like I look forward to the things that have kind of been postponed, and I'm kind of at the point where what are the things that we have to do, right, as artists to kind of jump back in, and get ahead of the people who might have gotten lazy.
Superhero stuff.
Maybe.
That's the market.
Caleb, I've been asking you to write me a superhero thing forever. This can't be a surprise.
All right. Well, I can only banter for too long before I want to hear what our ratings are for the movie that we started this podcast.
Dark Tower
as
is
the Dark
1
Tower.
star.
I'm going to go 1 star.
I'm going to go 1.
Don't do it.
0.5 3 Dark Towers.
Round it up to 1.5.
Fine. 1.5 Dark Towers.
Can I ask why?
Because indignation.
What do you mean by that?
out of being 0.5% more positive of a person than you.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
I think that's so funny because I'm
a pretty
the
cool
most
way to,
positive.
What?
I think it's funny because I am the most positive.
No, I'm giving it
sometimes.
an extra 0.5 because I liked Jake's friend in it. And I think he deserves the extra 0.5.
You're such
All
a
right.
fucking douchebag. There was one moment that I laughed that I laughed a bunch, like, unintentionally.
Right.
There were a lot of unintentional funny things. But Matthew McConaughey says something when he's, like, in the kitchen that made me laugh.
Yeah.
Something like, I don't remember what it was.
Fuck. I know what you're
It's
talking
when he was
about.
He
cooking
was
chicken,
so
right?
bored. He
Yeah.
was so bored.
And you're talking about a guy who wrote his own, like, 500-page character Bible for True Detective. And then went and had to do this. And it's like, what do you guys want me to do here?
Right. And then, like, the guy, I mean, I don't know if he has, but Matthew McConaughey is going to need some major facelifts when he's older. And I don't know if it's his
don't
character
do that,
or if it was
Josh.
like.
Let people age normally.
Okay, yeah, but
Stop
he doesn't look
having people
good.
do plastic surgery.
All right, but
Normalize
there's a
normal
whole
looking people.
micro industry of professionals that need work, Caleb.
Nobody needs work. Create realistic beauty standards on screen.
All right. Well, he looked tired and
Yeah, because he's old. He probably is tired.
Dallas Buyers Club, man. That's what took a bunch out of him. Like, his body changed completely.
true. Okay, Caleb. Can you please tell us what we're going to be watching next week?
Yeah.
The Dark
Um,
Tower.
The Dark Tower 2. No. I think it's interesting that we have done, like, we were going into this doing like a Stephen King thing, but we haven't done any horror movies, which I think is really
That's a
interesting.
good point.
That's
Super
true,
good
yeah.
point.
Because like there are like the dramas, like you have like Shawshank and Green Mile and Stand By Me, which are all great. So we kind of like covered that angle, and then we did the shitty movies, so we covered that angle too. I originally wanted to do The Mist, but I'm having a bitch of a time. There's 2 versions of The Mist, and only one of them, in my opinion, is worth watching, and I can't find that version online anywhere.
Are the endings different? Is that what it is?
There's a black and white cut, which
Ooh.
makes the movie worth watching to me
Cool.
because it leans into the aesthetic a lot more. And the version in color, it just feels like goofy, and it's like not. It's not. The tone is different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But so instead, I got inspired by the talk of Shine. So I would like to watch The Shining.
Oh, cool.
Let's do it. That's a good
For
one.
next time.
Great call.
Stanley Kubrick's horror masterpiece.
Great call.
I've only seen half of it, so it'd be nice to finish it.
That's going to be...
Which half?
we should definitely book out a good amount of time for that one. That's going to be a conversation. There's so much to talk about.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a nice, fresh breath of air.
Have either of you guys
Awesome.
seen Dr. Sleep? What is it?
Yeah, I saw Dr. Sleep.
How was it?
I haven't, no.
I liked it. Obviously, you know, it's like a movie that comes out 40 years after the movie it's a
Oh
sequel
my god, wait. Are they trying to steal kids with The Shining to take them to the Man in Black? Because I'm going to lose my fucking mind if that's what's happening.
to.
I will lose my mind.
I don't know. We have time. Do you guys want to watch both?
I could be down. I mean, we have a week.
Uh,
How do
yeah,
you feel,
we have a
Josh?
week.
Right, but you never know, people busy and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we can. So we're doing The Shining and Doctor Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. Yeah.
Is
I mean,
Doctor
they're
Sleep
different.
on? Is
They're
Doctor
different
Sleep on
movies.
anything?
I think it just came out.
Because just so you know, Brandon, I spent $4 to rent The Dark Tower because it was only on Netflix in Canada.
Oh,
so
true.
thank you for
That
that.
movie is not worth $4. I'm so sorry you had to do that.
So I just want to make sure that we can actually see The Shining and
The Shining's gotta be on something,
well,
right?
let's say
Criterion?
for sure we're doing The Shining, and
Right.
then We can talk later and see if it's something that's feasible to watch Dr.
Sounds
Sleep
good.
as well. But for sure, the
Perfect.
Sign.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, guys. This was a very riveting episode. Thank you for joining this beautiful Thursday morning. Brandon, you wanna sign us off, Brandon?
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to three MFAers talking about The Dark Tower, Stephen King's Magnus Opum classic. We will see you guys.
Magnus Opum?
Whatever. Caleb. God damn. Freaking Dark Tower.
I know, I'm the worst.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.